watered your new bush?
I have. However, I did not during the fair because I was too busy, but I don't think it needed any that week.
You know, he planted all those new bushes and he was one short. Guess who didn't get?
You told me you were the guy that, yeah, well, that's what I would have done.
Somebody had to
Of
be.
course, we don't have a bill yet either, so I'm not too worried.
I'm gonna die. It's like a pizza oven. All that brick.
Well, you guys get all that afternoon sun.
Yeah. If I could pipe across the street with your irrigation system.
Yeah, he did, but he's
know-
got a.
When we went on vacation earlier this summer,
You told me. You had the heads.
so I opened up the door, turned it on.
Sorry.
I
Thought you were gonna hit me.
Don't tempt me.
You told me you had the heads. And you thought somebody came and took them all out.
Come up
Oh, Al thinks this is funny.
It's just one of his where if,
Yeah, Michelle wants to put some upstairs
no,
on the upper balcony. I'm like, you gotta get a cactus, cause it's just gonna be, we still get some rain if it rains, but there's just so much heat in those little, you're talking a 4-foot cube of brick. I do want some color out there.
honestly,
Okay, we're live. Go ahead, Sherry.
Budget workshop meeting, Monday, August 21st, 2023, 6 p.m. Bear,
Here.
Briggs,
Here.
Coulter, Hydrich, Holtmeyer, Patke,
Here.
Reed,
Here.
Wessels.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance.
Will all the council members, will all the committee members answer if they have or have not read the minutes of the meeting dated August 7th, 2023? Bear,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Coulter,
Yes.
Patke,
Yes.
Reed.
Yes.
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion by Patke, second by Briggs to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
You're approving
Right?
the minutes.
Am I jumping it? Just the minutes, never mind. Just to get going here, sorry. To approve the minutes, we got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's approved. Now we go on. Sorry.
Budget workshop.
Okay, council, tonight, we wanted to run some things, two things through to you. One was the proposed sewer rate increase, which we will take up the majority of probably, or what we anticipate would be the majority of the time with. The other part is just our ongoing budget, and I can give you an update on the budget first so we can jump into the sewer rates. We heard your comments back on the last workshop, back on the 7th. We did form another committee to go ahead and take a look at that. We asked a couple council members to go ahead and join us. Jeff Patke and Al Baer joined us last week. We went through some numbers of some different scenarios based on the wages that staff had proposed and based on what some of the comments that we had heard from the meeting back on the 7th. So I do not have definitive numbers back for you yet. We are going to meet again this Wednesday on the 23rd. And I hope to have some more information for you at our meeting Monday on the 28th, because we do have to have a meeting at that time. We set the tax rate for the next budget year, and it's just the timing of when we get the numbers from the county and so many notices we have to go ahead and put in the paper. We usually always have to have a special meeting at the end of August. So next Monday, we'll be back here at 6 o'clock. We'll have a hearing for that, and we hope to have at least some numbers for you to consider with regards to wages for the next coming year. So, any other questions on that? Okay. So, the next thing I would say for the sewer rate increase, I'll start out. Kevin's going to come up here in a little bit. John Vietmeyer, who is the chair of the Board of Public Works, has also joined us tonight. They had a special meeting this morning to go over these rates. I think their normal meeting would have been tomorrow, Tuesday. However, due to this rate increase, they wanted to go ahead and meet and discuss that and have a recommendation with you by your meeting tonight. So the goal for tonight is to discuss some of the proposed rates, why we're proposing what the rates that are being proposed, and then also go ahead and give us time to go ahead and hopefully have an ordinance to go ahead with the new rates by October the 1st, which would be the start of the budget year. So with that being said, Kevin's got some numbers basically on a sheet. Everybody's got this sheet right here. I'm going to start and give you just some other facts and figures that you can consider. The last time the city increased the sewer rates was back in 2009. That was when you had the plant built.
Yes.
The treatment plant. You currently have a note on that treatment plant that is due to expire. Unfortunately, Mike and John, from our discussion this morning, it does not expire in 26, it is 29. So it was a 20-year note, so that everybody understands that. We pay approximately $1,280,000 each year on that note out of your sewer fund to go ahead and pay off that treatment plant that was built back and went online in 2009. So I just wanted you to know that. It is at its capacity at 4 million gallons per day. Not now, but
Not now,
that's,
no.
that's its capacity. It has, when it was built, it had the potential to go ahead and be added an additional 2 million gallons per day, up to 6 million gallons per day. Currently, as Kevin stated at the meeting this morning, we are operating on average. I mean, this goes up and down depending upon rainflow events, et
Rainfall,
cetera.
flow, yeah.
But on average, it's about 2.2 million gallons per day is what it's being used with. So, and at some point, what Kevin's going to tell you as well is that when you get to about 80% of your usage on that, then DNR wants to know what's your game plan for moving forward, assuming you've got growth coming, and they want to go ahead and they want to know, what is the plan to go ahead and treat the additional sewage when you get up to that capacity. So 2.2 is not at 80%, so we've got some time to go ahead and figure that out. But what we wanted to show you was essentially what we have within the fund, where we're at today with our current rate, where we'll be with revenue over expenses in at least 3 scenarios. Obviously, we can give you more scenarios depending upon the discussion. I will tell you this, that in these rates that Kevin has, the current rate, Proposal 1 and Proposal 2, they all have a base rate of $12.50. That you cannot, unless you put it to the, unless you decide to go ahead and take it to the voters, you cannot increase that base rate. That's a fee that everyone pays as a part of their sewer. However, what you can change is the second number, which is basically the dollar amount per 1,000 gallons. And currently your rate is $3.02 per 1,000 gallons with the base rate of $12.50. So the average residential cost, and again, this is just for sewage, this is not your water and your trash, those 2 other items, is $23.17, and your average commercial cost is $92.84. So currently, just in the next budget year, the city would be in the red if they continue at these rates. We've known that the rates were going to have to go ahead and be addressed, but at least for next year's budget, what you'd be looking at is operating in the red by 1.6, and you can see the rest of the numbers, million on there. So the idea behind the proposal for some increase in rates was to look at, rather than take it to the voters, for the base rate, what you could do was look at that dollar, the second dollar, or second amount figure that's on your Proposal 1 or Proposal 2, of either increasing that $6.50 per 1,000 gallons would get you, as you see in the number below, revenue over expenditures, that's basically getting you just into the black. $21,247.57 was what you would have on budget year of '24. The average residential change, you're looking at an increase of, is that an increase of $12.53, Kevin? That's what I'm seeing.
Which one you
On
on?
Proposal 1,
So the board proposal?
yes.
All right.
The board's proposal, we'll get to that, but it's $12.53 is the, I'm just saying, is that the increase over the $23.17?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's what I thought. So that's at $6.50, and again, that just gets you operating in the black. If you want to go ahead and build up a reserve to go ahead and expand the plant at when it's time for us to do such, proposal number 2 has it at $7.50 per 1,000 gallons. And then you got an increase of $16.11 on a residential change, and the average commercial would be $119.38. That's per month. That gets you a revenue over expenditures of $500,000.
You're not matching.
Hang on.
Hold on. You got, which one you have?
I'm sorry.
You got this.
Oh. Thank you. Sorry. Gave me the wrong one.
No?
No, we don't have a $7.50. So, sorry, back to the board proposal, which was $7 per gallon. That's the middle range. I apologize.
No.
Yes, if this is the right one?
You should have current rate, board proposal, and minimum rate increase.
Right, but that's not the middle one. The middle one is the minimum rate increase.
It was the middle one on this morning.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. The middle one on this, off of this sheet is the board proposal.
Right, okay.
Okay? So if you do that board proposal, that would get you at revenue over expenditures of approximately $250,000, a little over that. And that was at $7 per 1,000 gallons. If So, again, I gave you what the expense that you have up until 2029. If we looked at what your growth rate would be, and if you're basing it on the past 5 years, even on the high side of 3% growth every year, you'd be at about 2.62 million gallons per day in 2029 when you paid off the note, when you paid off the existing plant as it sits today. That plant increased to go from 4 million to 6 million. We asked Cochrane to go ahead and give us their study on this, and Dave Van Leer's here in case you have any questions for him, is 12.2 million in today's dollars to go ahead and increase that to 6 million gallons per day capacity. So,
From 4 million to 6 million capacity cost is
12.2.
12.2 million.
Correct. So the real question, I guess, that we have is we have to obviously look at the rates to go ahead and change those. How much of a reserve do you want when you get to the point when you have to go ahead and do the expansion at the plant? That's the real question. Back in 2009, the city was forced, they had rates. I don't know what the rates were or when the last time the city looked at the rates prior to 2009. Kevin, you may know.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I'm
But
sure-
the
We have
problem
records
that
I
we
can
ran
find
in with
out, but
DNR
I
at
don't
the
know.
time was that our rates were very low.
Yes.
And they did not, so it took the city 20 years, like I said, till 2029 to build that plant as it sits there today. I don't think that that's what we want to go ahead and do for the future when you have to go ahead and expand it. And I would think you'd want something in reserves to go ahead and be able to have, so you wouldn't have to borrow as much, if not possibly fund it entirely based on the rates that you have in place.
And it also makes it easier with the DNR because we are already looking forward as knowing it's going to happen instead of just waiting until it has to happen and going and saying, okay, we need a bond for the full amount. We're showing that we're concerned about that also. That really does help with when you approach the DNR on their side of it, so.
So the Board of Public Works this morning, and thank you for correcting me and showing me the right, but the board proposal is what they had recommended this morning. And it's based on $7 per 1,000 gallons. And again, that would get you revenue over expenditures of approximately $260,000 in 2024.
At some point though, our base rate still being $12.50 and our surrounding, did we say this morning, New Haven's base rate's $19.57?
Yes,
Union's is $19.10?
1910,
$12.50.
yep, and Owensville is 1770.
So we'll be playing.
70.
Again.
$17.
We gotta go to voters to change that.
You got to go to voters to go ahead and change that.
Right.
Here's the thing that we talked about that this afternoon. If you look at, with changing the dollar amount per 1,000 gallons, you're putting it back in the hands of the user. I mean, essentially. I mean, it's like they can go ahead and change their habits of how they go ahead and use. Whereas when you give somebody a base rate, you're telling everybody, just being on our system is going to cost you this much a month. So those other communities do have that higher base rate, but that's the reason why Mark would tell you why you have to go to the voters to go ahead and get that increase on that base rate.
Do we know the last time we did that?
Change the base rate?
Has it been done?
2009.
I would say it was probably a 2009. I'm sure that the base rate
I can verify that.
and the
I don't
users.
know that.
Yeah, we can get you
Because that's
information
when
on
it was
that.
built. I didn't know if we even changed then. so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
But we're gonna have to go to the voters regardless
For that.
No.
to build the plant.
No, if you change the dollar amount per 1,000 gallons, you can change that rate. Council can approve that, and that will go ahead and put the, hopefully, the funds in reserve for you to go ahead and have the money to go ahead and build that, or that expansion when you need it at that time. You do not need to go to the voters for that.
And we also talked about putting a CPI factor in there.
Yes, and then, so whatever rate you decide on, thank you, Mike, whatever rate you decide on with this, you will have staff strongly recommends, I know the Board of Public Works strongly recommends, the same thing that we did with the water rates a year ago, and we put in the CPI escalator.
You mean you don't wanna sit here again another 10 years and have to raise it, double it again?
That's
14.
what you want to try to avoid.
Yeah, 14. Yeah, no. Yes, no, we don't want to do that. No.
A lot of things we're playing catch up on, right?
Right.
I mean, I agree 100%. I guess my comment relates to the fact of we've waited too long already, and now we're playing catch up and doubling
guess-
instead of making an increase.
Just glancing at this, and I mean, we're at a delta here of 1.6. Has that been year over year for a while, or did we just have a big jump last year? I mean, we're talking about it now. If I'm looking at our current rate, we're saying we're spending 1.6 more than we're bringing in.
That is correct.
Yes.
So, I mean, to me, we should have been, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a combination of 2 years of a steady growth in cost of operation. Also, the wastewater department becoming self-funded to fund itself for slip lining, which we receive money from the stormwater, and slip lining, we receive money from the half-cent sales tax. We will.
Capital improvement
Our
sales.
capital improvement tax, sorry, capital improvement tax. So that's where,
So, again, I think what we have tried to do over time with the budget has been to try to go ahead and those enterprise funds to pay for themselves based on the user fees. So when you go back to the voters for the capital improvement sales tax back in 2026, you're not asking for them to go ahead and pitch in on the cost of a water tank. You're not asking them to pitch in for slip lining your sewers. You're not asking them to pay for replacement of pumps down there at the treatment plant. You're not asking them for sewer lines to be replaced, et cetera. That should be coming in from your reserves that you have within your sewer fund.
Felt like we were behind in 2018, and we did that with the capital improvement sales tax, but to Darren's point, we should never ask capital improvement sales tax to build a water tower or build a sewer treatment.
Because what would you
That has
do
to
if
be
it,
self-sufficient.
what would you do if it didn't pass?
Correct. And that's not fair to the voters to hold over a sewer treatment plant over their heads to pass a capital improvement sales tax.
That's correct.
Yeah, I mean, again, I spoke to Kevin away from the meeting and said, it's not the matter that we need to do this, it's just a matter of how we go about it. It's just, I guess, unfortunate. We're playing catch-up. We're playing strong catch-up, and I didn't realize we were behind on the base rate that much until Kevin told me the other day. But as we can adjust per 1,000 gallons to, I guess, inevitably we can do that
Yes.
to make it to what we need to have.
Future councils can go ahead and change that rate.
and either way, if we went to the voters to change the base rate, we'd still be in the same situation.
Correct.
We would just be changing numbers. So we're doing the same thing, it's just the avenue we're taking is just different.
Well, and
than what's
Aaron's
normal.
point, you know, you do have, if you want to curb your usage, you're in somewhat control there of.
A little bit,
What the expenditure is out of your household.
Well, right, that does make, you're right, Al, I agree with that point too. It's not just a $20 over the board for everybody, then we would get there. It's a matter of those who use it are paying for it, and it makes the most sense, no doubt.
One of the things, I don't think it was talked a lot about at the Board of Public Works, but we talked about it this afternoon when we went back over these numbers, is that, and I know it was mentioned before about the potential, and correct me, Mary, Kevin, on our water rates, but tiering it in over time. If you wanted to go ahead and start at a rate this year due to the amount of the increase to the average user, you could go ahead and, I mean, and I'm just throwing out a scenario for you. You could go ahead and at least get to where you're in the black the first year and just do the 650, and then do the next year at 7, and then you go ahead and then begin the CPI escalator.
After, on the third year?
Yeah.
Well,
Or
I have a problem
any
with that.
combination of that.
but the only difference I have with that, the $6.50 to $7, you're only talking 80 cents, or $1.80 difference per household, per month, you know what I mean?
Right.
If we're going from $3 to $6.50, $3 to $7 is
Not that
same
much,
money to me,
yeah.
in my opinion. You know what I'm saying?
I understand
If it
completely.
was, if we were going to 5 and then go to 7, because there's a good chance of next year, including the CPI, we could be at 750. But that's the scenario I guess I would look at, but we also can't operate in the red just because we want to take another year to get there.
No.
That's what I
We
thought
cannot-
you might
We
say.
cannot operate in the red, and we don't want to operate out of reserves. We don't want to pull reserves out to bring ourselves to the black, because that's not wise business.
Do we know what the average rate, sewer rate in Union and New Haven are? I know you got the base rate.
I don't know what the average rates are. I could find out, but kind of at that point, we're just kind of digging a little deeper, and, I mean,
I thought you had those.
I've got, I ran a scenario of current utility bills, because that's what everybody looks at. They look at their total utility bill more than their sewer. So I ran a commercial average and a residential average, and then I found in our system a senior, using less than 1,000 gallons, because everything's 1,000 gallons. So currently, as a commercial user, for an average, their total bill is $165 and some change. For a residential, it's $68.05. I can tell you mine's higher than that, but I'm not average. And then for a senior, it was $37.16. That's using less than 1,000 gallons.
Seniors get a discount on
Seniors
trash.
get a discount on trash. That's how I found it as a senior. That's the only way I found was looking through and seeing if they had a discount of a senior rate on trash. But, that's the only way we can figure that out. So then I did a scenario with if we raised it went to 650, that commercial average would go up to $258.45. That's a $92 increase at the 650. Residential would go up to 72. For an average, would go up to 72. That's a $4.54 increase on their utility bill. And the senior would go up to $39.95, which is a $2.79 increase. If we went to the $7, the commercial user, average user, would go up to $271 from the original, not from the 650, and that would be a $106 increase for the commercial. Residential would go up to $74.40, which would be a $6.35 increase. And the senior user with using less than 1,000 gallons, would go up to $40.35, which is a $3.19 increase. So there's not that big a jump between the 650 and the 7 on the utility bill as a whole.
Mary just shared some information, sent me a text or whatever on sewer rates. So back in '95, and we don't have anything, I guess, prior to '95. We'd have to dig that up. But back in '95, that base rate was $5 a month, and then starting in 2007, 2008, and 2009, they did ramp it up for the new treatment plant. It went from $5 to $7.85 in 2007, and then in 2008 it jumped up to $10.42, and then it jumped in 2009 to $12.50, where it currently is today. So they did tier it in.
They tiered that in 2005,
Starting in 2007.
or starting in 7.
Prior to that, it had been, like I said, it had been another 12 years since they looked at it, and it was $5 a base rate from '95 to 2006.
So they went to the voters to approve a tiered up.
They built a new plant.
At that time, that was yes, because you were going to the voters with regards to the, for the building of the plant itself, and to go into, and also to go ahead and go to DNR for the loan program that we used to utilize to go ahead and build the plant.
Yeah.
Well, it is absolutely inevitable that we have to raise sewer rates. There's no doubt about that. Your question to us is tonight,
How much?
$6.50 per thousand or $7 per thousand? Is that right?
Correct. Your Board of Public Works, again, to be clear, that's what it says, board proposal. That's what they recommended.
They recommended the 7. As one board member said, might as well pull a Band-Aid off now. Pull a Band-Aid quick now as to pulling it later. I mean, that's just a scenario, but at some point in time, we have to do it.
The goal would be, though, as I mentioned earlier again, to have set whatever that increase may be and have it at your September meeting, either the first or second meeting in September, to go ahead and have the new rates so that they would take effect October 1 for the budget year.
Same as we did on water.
Whatever our increase is, we're gonna put the CPI factor in there, right?
Well, I think what you could do, if you just want to go straight, yes, we will write the ordinance to that effect. I think the idea was going to be, at least if I understood the board, was to go to the $7 per 1,000 gallons for year '24. After that, then the CPI.
Would take effect in
escalator would be
25.
Correct.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Again and again and again.
Again, yes.
A year from now, you're going to sit here and tell us that it went up or the CPI.
Just like we do, the water rates automatically go up. Finance Department figures that out. And
Yes, and we're going to evaluate this more often than waiting 14.
Well, there you go. There's my
that's-
statement.
yes.
We can't wait
No,
15 years.
this is
and
going to
then
be,
do that again.
this is going to be, this could become a yearly evaluation. I mean, we got to get a better handle on it and stay on top of it.
And at that time, we
more,
can decide
so.
if the CPI is sufficient for 1 year, 2 year, whatever it may be.
We're going to do the same thing on the water side too. Reevaluate both of them.
else from Public Works?
I mean, just this morning Kevin was talking about the price increase in some of the pumps you have to
Oh,
replace, and it's more than double.
yeah, it is more than doubled. And we're just talking about the wastewater plant and the expansion of that and everything there. You know, there's a whole collection side that we don't really talk about that we have to maintain. And sitting here right now, everybody knows that we have a wonderful vac truck. We use that thing almost daily for everything in multiple departments. That truck alone, when I bought it, was a little over $3,000 or $300,000. If I wanted to buy that same truck today, it'd be over $850. The same truck. So that's the things we're looking at. That truck will have to be replaced because we can't go without one. And at some point in time, we're gonna have to replace it. So we gotta start looking at even those kind of things as we go down the road. You know, it's added costs that we're not really even talking about. We're concentrating more on the treatment plant and that, but the collection side has its own cost that's outrageous too. So, and it's not gonna go down. The cost is not gonna go down.
You need a motion, sir?
Absolutely.
I'll make a motion to go with the board proposal, $7 per thousand on top of base rate pay.
Second that. Who did it? I did. Chad? Further discussion, guys?
If I could ask, before you go to the vote, would you, we could certainly go ahead and have an ordinance prepared for the first meeting in September, taking effect October the 1st, if you choose, if you would like us to go ahead and do so.
Yeah, so moved, and then we'll add the CPI on in fiscal year 2025.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay,
Is that part of the motion?
Yes, ma'am.
That's part of my second.
all right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kev.
The only thing, like I said, the department heads are here in case you got any questions or whatever. We've got half hour. We do not have an executive session tonight or a need for one, so don't need to squeeze that in between now and the regular meeting at 7. So if you have any questions for department heads, if you've got anything that you wanted to go ahead and express, go to it.
I just want to update you that because of MML, we'll have to move planning and zoning in September. Would have been on that Monday. And so since we're coming back, at least I'm coming back Tuesday from that conference, most likely it'll move to September 13th. It's
The
that
Wednesday.
Wednesday. I have not gotten a quorum yet. So once I confirm that quorum, I'll send that out. We do already have some items on that agenda, but we plan on moving that to that Wednesday this month. And then we'll still bring all the same items from that meeting to your following council meeting, to the second meeting in September.
I'll move to adjourn if we don't have anything further.
I was looking for somebody we could ask questions to, but I guess not.
You got a question?
Nothing important, no, Al. I was gonna make conversation.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned for a half hour.